What's up guys, it's Victoria from Under Victoria's Spell, and today's video is going to be my mid-month wrap-up for the month of November. And I have 7 books to talk about today, and I believe there's 2 DNFs and a few really good books that I was so excited to read this month. So I'm gonna hop right into the books I've read so far in the month of November. Okay, so I actually had to move because my dog would not stop crying. He gets really upset whenever I'm gone at work all day, so he was being a little baby, and I really need to get this video filmed so I can upload it tomorrow. I'm wearing my Hogwarts 9 3/4 shirt. Love it. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Slytherin is my house. Let me know what your house is below because I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. Love it. Anyway, let's talk about the 7 books that I've read so far this month. Honestly, I had planned to read a lot more, but I recently just changed jobs again, and I'm working night shift now. So on the weekends, I work 3 night shifts and 1 day shift during the week. So it's been an adjustment, so I have not read as much as I've liked. But surprisingly, this month is my audiobook month. I go through phases where I really love to read physically or on my Kindle, and then I'll never read audiobooks, or I'm really into audiobooks and that's all I want to read. So a lot of these that I'm going to be talking about is audiobooks that I've read this month. But the first book that I picked up in the month of November is one that was my most anticipated release for the month of October, and I didn't finish it until the beginning of November. And that is Unbroken Bonds by Jay Bari. It's the last book in the Bonds That Tie series. It wrapped up the character's story and gave them the closure that they were so desperately trying to get to for the end of the series. It was really, really good. I believe that it's like between a 4 and a 4.5 star read for me. It's not a 5-star read, but it was still such a good book. I really, really loved it. I loved seeing the character development kind of come to an end by the last book. I mean, I've followed these characters throughout their journey since book 1, and a lot of them are very different than they were in book 1, and I really just admire each and every single one of these characters and the story and journey that they have been on since book 1. This is honestly a series that has really touched my heart and my soul and really just captivated me in the second half of this year. So really, really good. I'm so glad that it kind of concluded with a really good ending that I'm happy with, and also it makes me a little sad that we're not going to get any more books from these characters, but at the same time they deserve to be happy, so I'm happy for that. But the next book that I picked up, because I was so sad, I decided to pick up the audiobook of the first book in the series, which is Broken Bonds by Jay Bari. And there's just something about this first book that is so good. And I physically read it the first time, so I listened to it on audio this time. Still so good. I didn't re-rate it on Goodreads, but it's still a 5-star book in my mind. It is so good. I love it so much. The angst between the characters, and just knowing that I've read all the books and I do know what happens, just like kind of going back and re-listening after everything just makes me understand our main heroine so much more and why she did the things that she did, but also really made me understand her bonds at the same time and kind of like their point of view and where they were at in their lives that we didn't learn until later on in the series. So freaking good. Still a 5-star read. If you've never heard about the series, I talk about it a lot. But it follows Oleander and her 5 other fated mates, which is called Bonds in a series. And it's kind of them coming together after she has been on the run for the last few years due to a tragic event in her life. And book one kind of just is about why she ran away, reconnecting with her fated mates, and kind of adjusting to life with them. And the rest of the series follows them along and kind of the aftermath of after she ran away. So good. If you love fantasy, if you love fated mates, if you love reverse harem, this is a book series for you, and you need to read it. I really want to pick up some physical copies of these because the covers are absolutely beautiful, and I just need them. So after I picked up J. Brie, I was like, okay, let me check out another book on her backlist because I'm really loving her this year. This is my first DNF of the month, and that was Just Drop Out by J. Brie. It seemed interesting. I was like, I'm gonna give it a try, So the book opens up and it's like a fight scene where she's like pretty much offing someone. So I thought that was kind of weird, but I was like, it could be like a mafia romance, whatever. I've read darker things. We get into it. The writing was just not there for me. It was just not good. Had no idea what was going on, and the things that they were talking about, I was like, okay. And then I find out that they're underage. Like, she's like 16, 17, and I am not a fan of reading books where it talks about certain content when you're under the age of 18. That just makes me a little uncomfortable, especially how they were talking and acting. I was like, this book already has me on edge. And then after I realized that, because I must have missed that when I first started the book, and then I was like going through Goodreads because I was like, I wonder what the reviews are, and I saw someone put that they were underage, and then I was like, this makes so much sense. So I was like, okay, DNF in it. So I DNF'd that book. Not gonna pick it back up, but it's okay. I was like, let's just move on. And I picked up another book, and it was an audiobook, and it is Filthy Beautiful Lies by Kendall Ryan. I have never heard of this author before. It was on Hoopla. I thought the cover was really pretty, and the synopsis really intrigued me, so I was like, why not? It was like a 4-hour audiobook. Or 6. I believe it was 4 though. And I was like, this is super quick, a quick read. I'm kind of ready to change the pace from fantasy to kind of just like a dark romance. This follows our heroine as she finds out that her sister is terminally ill and she needs to get money to cover the expenses for her sister's treatment. And so she decides to sell her virginity off kind of like an auction. And if you're a virgin, you get more money out of it. And this guy pretty much wins her for like a lot of money, and she has to live with him for the next 6 months. And it's their relationship together. It was like an okay romance. Like, I gave it like 3 stars. Like, it wasn't like, oh, it's so good, but it wasn't horrible. Like, I really loved the concept of the book, but it was just okay. Like, I feel like there could have been more angst in it. There was a big secret that he was hiding from her, and like, you didn't find out until like the last 2 pages, and it ended on a cliffhanger. So it was okay. I don't know if I want to pick up book 2. But the premise of it was really, really good. So it does make me want to pick it up because, like, I was, like, semi-interested in the character story. So maybe I will pick up book 2. But, I mean, for the premise and how short the audiobook was, it was a decent read, okay? Like, that's, like, novella length almost. So pick it up if that's something you're interested in. Definitely gave me, like, Salacious Player Club vibes at the very beginning when talking about like the auction and stuff like that. Like, that part was like really, really good. So yes, pick that up. It was good. Next is 2 books that I read for a reading vlog that I did. I did a sports reading vlog, and it was a hit and a miss. I'll talk about The Hit first off. It's going to be probably one of my favorite books of the year. I realize that now that this book really like affected me, and you know, in a positive way, even though it is a sad story. So good. And that was Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. And it follows a really heartbreaking story of pretty much star-crossed lovers and why they can't be together due to relationships, right person, wrong time. Just so many factors go into that. And trigger warning for domestic violence and surprise baby and depression and kind of just like PTSD after the fact. Like, it is a very heavy story. It was so incredibly powerful. It was like, I just really praise Kennedy Ryan for writing this story, because I know so many people have a similar story or is the same story, and this is really like a voice for them, and I loved it so much. It was a 5-star read. I loved our hero in this book. He is the definition of a cinnamon roll hero. Like, the way he talks about our heroine, the way he cares for her, the way he cares for her child, so freaking good. Like, so good. Our heroine, she is a badass. I admire her so much, and I was rooting for her the whole story. So please, if you have not picked this up, it is book 1 in the Hoop series. You really, really should. I think it's a very important read, and it's a really good romance as well. And the next book that I read for that vlog, which was a miss, was Broken Play by Allison Rhymes. This is actually a book that my fiance picked for me off my November TBR. And I was like, I'm already in the sports romance mood. Like, yes, like, I'm so excited. This DNF'd it. It was horrible. The writing was horrible. I had no idea what was going on. It was all over the place. It was a marriage in trouble romance. And like, it just was a hot damn mess. And I was like, no. I cannot read books where it's all over the place. Like, I need some structure. I need some storyline. I need some plot. And it just was not there for me. So there's not much to say about it because it was a clusterfuck, pretty much. So, DNF that one. And the last book that I read this month, for the first half of the month, is American Queen by Sierra Simone. This has been on my TBR for so long, and I found out my library had it on audio, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to pick this up. So, I knew that this was a reverse harem novel, and this is actually the first reverse harem novel that I ever put on my TBR, and I was like, this is gonna be scandalous. And now I've read so many other books that are way more scandalous than this, but it's okay. This book, so good. It was a 4.5-star read for me. I rated it 4 on Goodreads, but I am gonna round it up to a 4.5 because the story really did have me captivated from the first, few sentences of the narrator. It was so good. I was so intrigued by each of these characters' stories and the angst between all of them. I loved the back and forth between these characters. So good. It was a 4.5-star. This follows our heroine as she finds out that she kind of has like almost a curse on herself that really kind of isn't real but is at the same time. And she meets this guy who is 10 years older than her, falls in love with him the first time they ever meet, and then disappears out of her life. She meets another man 5 years later who happens to be this guy that she first fell in love with, best friends, and they kind of like have a thing. Now it's 5 years later, and the man that she fell in love with is now the president of the United States, and the other man she fell in love with is the vice president of the United States, and it is all of their romance together. It was spicy. It was like, I felt like I was in the royalty. I was in the political tea. I was here for it, and I was not expecting that cliffhanger of ending I loved it. So freaking good. I'm currently on book 2, which is American Prince. I'm reading the audiobook. So freaking good. So really good first half of the month so far. There was a couple misses, but there was a lot of good hits. So I really am excited to continue on with some really good books to finish up the month of November. Maybe I'll pick up a Christmas read before December. And but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what you guys have read this month, if you've read any of these books, and tell me what you're going to be eating for Thanksgiving coming up next week. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. You can like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again on Monday. Bye.